Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, we got some major Christian Wilkins rumors from ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter. And I say the word rumor there because there's a lot of conversations about the incident revolving Christian Wilkins. I'll get into everything that you need to know and everything that literally is coming out at this moment that I am speaking. And then at the end of today's show, we're going to go through all the training camp news and notes from day 5. The guys finally put the pads on. So here's how we're going to start this off. The big reason why y'all are probably tuning into the show, if you haven't already seen, Adam Schefter had a very interesting quote today on the Pat McAfee show when talking about the Raiders and Christian Wilkins. Over the past 48, 24 hours, hell, my entire weekend, I spent trying to figure out what the heck this apparent incident was involving Wilkins and the Las Vegas Raiders. This is what Adam Schefter had to say today on the Pat McAfee show. When you speak to people there inside of the locker room, they say that Christian playfully went to kiss a teammate on top of his head, and those same people said that that player took offense to it. That's what everybody's been dancing around and tap dancing around. An incident in the locker room where he allegedly playfully kissed a teammate on top of his head. The teammate, felt offended by it. So here's also a statement that ESPN's Adam Schefter just released, and it is in a story that he put out on ESPN, and I just want to read it because literally it just popped up on my screen. Last week's incident happened inside the Raiders locker room. One source told ESPN the interaction was playful, but the teammate didn't see it that way. It's not known what the fellow player did following the incident. However, a complaint was filed to Raiders Human Resources Department, which investigated the incident, a source told Adam Schefter. The reason why I bring all of that up is because when I was talking about this yesterday, I also talked about a potential lawsuit, and give me one moment. We'll break all that down here in just a moment. But, I want to know from Raider Nation, what are your thoughts on Schefter's comments about Wilkins? This is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. You're about to get hit with an early YouTube ad break because I want to know what you guys have to say. My answers are going to be coming up right here after this YouTube ad break. The more and more I dive into this Wilkins story, I think that it's a strange one. I'm going to continue to, keep you guys up to date, but I'll be very honest with you. I think that there's more to this story, and I don't want to throw anything out there because this is a touchy situation. Let's just call it how it is. It's a weird situation to be able to break down overall, but I'll sit up here and I'll just say this. I think that there's more to this story. I've reached out to multiple people regarding what Adam Schefter said, and I've had multiple NFL sources tell me that's not the incident that they heard about, which makes me wonder. It also makes me wonder because when you hear past NFL players, current NFL players, bring up players, it's going to make me think about it. Jonathan Feliciano, former Raider, who's bounced around on a few different NFL teams, said, brother's always been a little freaky in terms of an incident. And, I had multiple people tell me, again, that Wilkins started to fall out of favor in that locker room. And I always sit back and you got to wonder, right? Where there's smoke, there's fire. But when we got the breaking news on Thursday that the Las Vegas Raiders were moving on from Christian Wilkins, a player that, is a very well-liked player in that locker room, you got to sit back and you got to wonder a little bit, what else honestly happened? Because when you hear reports about Wilkins from teammates, from players, from coaches, it's been honestly a lot of good conversations around him, and he's been a player that people have spoke very, very positively about. So I do wonder what Schefter is saying, because he also said this in the interview with the Pat McAfee show. He said, Schefter also said final straw, which makes me wonder if more happened, because when I hear somebody say, oh, that was the final straw, that means other things ended up happening leading up to this apparent kiss on the forehead. And I'll be real, I've played sports with a lot of different people in college. I've played professional in the Bundesliga in Germany. A kiss on the forehead is weird, don't get me wrong, but to me, there is a lot more to this story. So here's what I reported over the weekend, and this is very important because, again, of what we're kind of hearing from Schefter from ESPN, and now that there was a file apparently with Raiders Human Resources, this is one source told me this. It's tough to believe. It's an impossible thing to ever go public with. I don't know if it's true. This was told to me on Friday. Then, this is what I reported on yesterday on the show. If you checked it out while I was at home, there was a threat of a lawsuit involved in the incident. I also said this. When you said that the reporter is afraid of reporting, that's what he's saying up here, that part of it is legal ramifications. So I reported yesterday there were legal ramifications involving the Wilkins incident. And now Schefter's out there talking about this kiss on the forehead. But then here's the thing, Pro Football Talk, in regards to what Schefter had to say, he goes, that is definitely not the story that has been making the rounds. This is somebody that I have not had any communication with whatsoever, but I do know that Pro Football Talk has a lot of sources. And I know the people that I've been talking to, quite frankly, I think are sources a little bit closer to players where I think Schefter might get some information. Maybe it's from Wilkins' team. Maybe it's Wilkins' agent. Maybe they're trying to put a story out there to, calm the fire before that this thing really gets going. All I know is this. When new information pops up around Christian Wilkins, it still impacts the Raiders because of the grievance that was filed, and this is all going to matter. I'll also say I feel like this is a story that the Raiders report really broke, and I'm going to stay on top of it. But what we know right now is this. It's a weird situation, and if any more information decides to come out, I will do my best to keep you guys up to date. Now let's go to the part that I actually want to talk about. Raiders Day 5 training camp news and notes. We're going to start on the offensive side of the football, and then we will go to the defensive side of the football. But here's the part that I really, really want y'all to know. When Raiders news happens, I got you up to date. When training camp news and updates happen, I got you up to date. If you're looking for free videos every single day around the Raiders, make sure you click that subscribe button. Make sure those notifications are on. I'm also going to be doing a Madden watch party in a few hours from now, so make sure you're pulling up. Let's go to the offensive side of the football. I should also note that today, every single one of the players on the Raiders practice on both the offense and the defensive side. The top thing that I was looking for today at training camp was JPJ. He's been working as the backup center the past 2 days of practice. The pads come on today, and he was back as the starter. Thank the freaking Lord. I said before, if JPJ's not the starting center on this team, quite frankly, I don't know who the hell is evaluating the talent. But then also, he's a top 5 offensive lineman on this roster. It was good to see him back at the starter spot today. Let's go to another note here. Tre Tucker absolutely dominated today from the wide receiver standpoint. He was the best receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. He was better than Jacoby Myers. He was better than, honestly, Brock Bowers. He was better than Thornton Jr. Geno Smith found him early and often, and Tre Tucker really showed that he can be a focal point with Chip Kelly, with Geno Smith. Let's go to another note here that we got. Caleb Rogers. I heard that he looked pretty damn solid, and I don't know if this is my buddy just trying to give me some Caleb Rogers information since I was a little low on him during the draft, but I think that this is also a positive sign because Rogers and Adam Butler, they got into a little bit of a scuffle yesterday, and it's going to happen when you got, grown men going up against each other, non-padded practice. I think that there's some levels of frustration, especially for in the trenches, but it's a good sign that Caleb Rogers did have a solid day at practice today. Let's go to another one. Ashton Jeanty continues to look special, and we knew that Jeanty was a talent. We now are learning that he's learning how to catch the football and do it pretty damn well. Now that we are finally seeing him in pads, run between the tackles, I had one source tell me that was at practice today. It literally was like, I don't remember the exact quote, but the text message was like, yeah, a lot of teams are going to be upset that they passed on Jeanty, which I was like, they ended up taking him at 6. But very, very special player. Another relationship that continues to grow. Jack Besh and Aiden O'Connell. From what I understand, Jack Besh has done a phenomenal job against the twos, but Aiden and Besh have shown that they're already building a good chemistry. They're already building that solid relationship, and Aiden O'Connell continues to have solid days of practice, but this is Geno Smith's team. Thornton Jr., the Raiders rookie, had a long touchdown catch today. I saw one beat reporter say 65 yards. I saw somebody else say 70 yards. But the bottom line is this. That's why he was added to this team, to stretch the field. So it's good to see that Geno's able to pepper him down the field. Geno, speaking of the devil, he sprayed it everywhere today. He was finding Jacoby. He was finding Dante. He was finding Trey. He was finding Bowers. Bottom line, if you needed the ball to be thrown around, Geno is not afraid to chuck it. Now, he had a pick, maybe two. The one interception, though, from what I heard, was a better play than Geno just making a bad decision. And then another player that had a lot of notes today was Brock Bowers, saw a ton of targets. And I think when you're going into that first padded practice, it's probably your first look at what real-life football is going to look like. So today, Dante deep touchdown from Geno. Tre Tucker looked like he dominated. Bowers saw a bunch of targets. Ashton Jeanty looked solid. If you believe in this Raiders offense with Chip Kelly, you had to love what you heard today from Raiders practice. Before we get into the defensive side of the football, today's show is powered and presented by Panda Supps. Use code Raiders. You're going to be able to save 20% off, and you're going to get free shipping if you spend over $125. Now, again, you got to use code Raiders. The link is going to be down in the comments. It's going to be in the description of today's show. PandaSupps.com. Whether you're looking for their brand new Fuel ISO Premium Protein, which has got 25 grams of protein, 110, 120 calories per scoop, 0 grams of sugar added. This is the protein that I have used and I have trust for the past few months to help me get in wedding and honeymoon shape. But also, they have a lot of other great products. Their nootropics, which help you stay locked in if you're at work. If you need some thermogenics to help burn a little bit of fat, they got that as well. Every day feels like cheat day with Panda Supps. And if you want the best tasting protein on the market, PandaSupps.com, code Raiders for 20% off. Again, that link's down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Let's keep it moving here on the Raiders Report. And we're going to go to the defensive side of the football. And the first thing that I'm going to bring up is Tyree Wilson. Continues to look good, powerful today, and they want to see what they got from him. They continue to line him up at the 3-tech spot for DT, which essentially means between the offensive guard and the offensive tackle. Another great day of practice for Tyree Wilson. And, the first time that I got a note of, Tyree looked good today, you want to take it with a grain of salt. How many practices do we have to see? How many reports do we have to hear? How much video tape do we have to watch of Tyree going out there doing his thing until people realize it looks like he's actually taken that step forward, which is very good news considering everything that's gone on with Christian Wilkins. Tommy Eichenberg, linebacker position, worked with the ones again today. He wasn't only with the ones, it was ones and twos from what I gathered, but essentially this is a linebacker that when the Raiders added Jamal Adams, when, Devin White, Jermaine Pratt, Landon Roberts, we were sitting here going, what exactly is going to happen with Eichenberg? And I almost wonder if Eichenberg is past Amari Gaynor, and if now Amari Gaynor is going to be the guy looking on the outside, looking in. But Eichenberg continues to work with the ones. It's got to be pretty solid news right there. Decamerion Richardson, back-to-back great practices. And, I have high hopes for Darien Porter, Jacorian Bennett, and Eric Stokes. Decamerion Richardson was a big unknown, and when we interviewed Thornton Jr., he really hyped up Richardson. He had a very nice interception today against Geno, but back-to-back solid practices for the second-year cornerback. If he's able to put it together, I think the Raiders could have a really sneaky, long, lanky, athletic cornerback room, but it's a really good sign that Richardson had another good day of practice. Darien Porter, Eric Stokes, speaking of the other corners, they also worked in with the ones today. The way that practice went, Decamerion essentially started out with the ones in the red zone drills, and then that's where he ended up making that interception, which makes me wonder, could you imagine putting Decamerion Richardson out there in a red zone situation, and then between the 20s, it's Darien Porter and Eric Stokes? Kind of an interesting situation altogether, but this cornerback room, a lot of moving parts, a lot of competition, which is the way Pete Carroll wants it. Maxx Crosby, he definitely got after it today. I was told that he would have had a few sacks if the quarterbacks were actually allowed to be hit and be taken down. But with pads on, you knew that the defensive line was going to be firing all cylinders. You also knew that the offensive line wanted to be physical. But Max showed that he's that guy, and he showed why he's the best player on this team, not named Brock Bowers. Also, Jermaine Pratt, he did very well today in coverage, which was a note that when I received this, I was very happy about, because I've been somebody that's been very concerned about the secondary, and this has been something that has been brought up to me, and I think it's been put on display at practice. The Raiders have a physical team, but they are struggling a little bit in the terms of down the field coverage area. Yes, they've made some interceptions, but I think it's because they're going for the ball, and also this offense is trying to force it. Force it might not be the right terminology, but they're trying to force the ball down the field to see what they have in this offense. Cornerbacks continue to mix. Again, I kind of already mentioned that one earlier. Right now, I would say that this is a race between Eric Stokes, Darien Porter, Corey Bennett, and Decamerion Richardson to all get legitimate playing time this season. Darnay Holmes, have not heard too much about him at the nickel. It sounds like the Raiders want to make all these outside corners just use as much as humanly possible in this Patrick Graham defense. And then the linebackers. I had a source tell me, quote, they brought the thump. I kind of like the idea of our linebackers going out there and not being afraid to lay the wood, because that's what Landon Roberts does. That's what Jamal Adams is brought in here to do. That's what Devin White's going to go out there and do. We have a lot of linebackers that kind of have that hit stick and bring the umph. That is what you want from a Pete Carroll defense. That is why they used to be known as the Legion of Boom. That's why you're already hearing them being called the Legion of Boom. If you don't know what my live schedule looks like this week, it is a little bit different just because the Hall of Fame game is this Thursday at 7:31. July 31st is probably the correct way I should say it. So I'll be live a little bit later on today. Raiders, Bengals, wild card weekend here on the Raiders Report. Make sure you're pulling up. It's going to be a hell of a football game. Tomorrow, I will be live, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then Friday, I will be live again here on the Raiders Report. I don't know if there's a playoff game or not. Depends if the Raiders beat the Bengals. But no matter what, I will be live on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. If anybody is hanging out and you plan on watching the Hall of Fame game, we're going Chargers up against the Lions. In myself, I'm going to be rooting for the Lions because it's always FLAC. But I am going to be live on our main YouTube channel here at Chat Sports. We got over 413,000 subscribers over there. And I'm going to be doing a lot more watch parties over on that main YouTube channel. So if you want, go subscribe to our main YouTube channel. That link is also going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Make sure you pull up. I'll be live probably about an hour before that game gets kicked off. And if you enjoyed the Hall of Fame game, you're going to be live with me all season long, because I'll also be live for Monday Night Football just about every single Monday, live at Chat Sports. So make sure you guys pull up. But I'm looking right now, an hour, I'm going to be going live for Raiders Bengals. I'll see y'all in about an hour.